Well, hi everybody. Glad you made it. This is kind of a new venue for us, or a new way to communicate for us. We did, as Jeannie mentioned, we did have one other, but it was a little bit more restricted, and it was and more regional than this is. So this is, hope people enjoy it. We'll see how it goes. And so we thought, rather than have me speak and bore you all to tears, that we would have Marianna Trevino-Wright speak. And I think most of you know Marianna. Maybe all of you do, actually. But Marianna has been executive director of the National Butterfly Center that NABA owns and operates since June of 2012, I think that's right. And Marianna, she grew up in the Rio Grande Valley, and she was close to nature growing up, and developed a strong appreciation for all of the creatures that we share the planet with. She drags lots of them over to the Butterfly Center herself, actually. And so, as I say, she's been doing that since 2012 and doing it very well. And, we've got the butterfly, we have like 6,000 school kids that come through every year, and lots of visitors. And she, in the last few years while she was there, I think we've got 20 new species for the US of butterflies that the rumor is that she went to Mexico herself and brought them in. Some people do that, but this kind of thing. But anyway, in 2017, it was actually on July 20th of 2017, the Trump administration started to build a border wall through the National Butterfly Center illegally, without any notice or anything. Just started to go there and do it. And that development has, changed a lot of what's going on over the last little bit more than 4 years now. And so Marianna has had to deal with all of that. And over the course of that time has become one of the leading advocates in the Rio Grande Valley, working to stop this wall, not only through the Butterfly Center, but throughout the valley where it impacts butterflies and wildlife throughout the valley, in the National Wildlife Refuges and elsewhere. And in fact, so Marianna's been a target for a lot of people. She's had to deal with lots of hostility and threats to her and her family, and she's owed all of our thanks, really, for putting up with all of that and managing to succeed on many levels. Anyway, because of our efforts, she was the Defenders of Wildlife, rather, named her, what was the name of it? Spirit of Defenders Award, I think it was, a few years ago. I can't remember. Was it 2019? Was it, Marianna? 2019, and which is a tremendous honor. And we've got all sorts of activities still going. And as Marianna was indicating, we still have to deal. We have big legal teams representing us and so forth. And but I'll let Marianna tell you about it, because I've already bored you too much with my voice. So without further ado, here is Marianna Trevino-Wright, who will tell you herself what's going on.
Thank you, Jeff. And I'm going to share a screen soon, but until then, you may have to put up with the dogs in the background. And as long as the UPS man doesn't show up, they should be pretty quiet. All right, can everybody see the slideshow? Not, I can see some of your faces. All right, good. Okay, so this is a beautiful photo of Laguna de los Patos, our duck lagoon on the back 70 at the Butterfly Center. This is one of the things that I was charged with doing right after I was hired. The wetland was lost in 2010 after Hurricane Alex and the catastrophic flooding that we suffered. So restoring the wetland and then making it a place where we could have shorebirds, more dragonflies, do aquatic education, and really enjoy the full 100 acres. It's tremendous. And if you come to the Butterfly Center, make sure that you go beyond the gardens, over the levee to the river. It's part of the reason that we have fought the wall. We don't want to lose access to the Rio Grande River. We have wildlife photography blinds back there that you are welcome to request use of. So we can open up early for you at 5 or 6 a.m. depending on what time of year and when the sun's coming up. Luciano will hang out there with you, or I will, and you can photograph the javelina and the bobcats and the wild turkeys and the snakes and the birds that are coming through. So this is not a part of the Butterfly Center that most people have seen. And I wanted to start off with, what's going on. And if it sounds like Marvin Gaye, good. I wanted it to, because I think that is an appropriate echo for our time. Let's see if I can get the slides going forward. All right. My great joy at the National Butterfly Center is really raising the next generation of conservationists, doing the youth education, welcoming families, giving them a safe place to experience the outdoors and build skills and confidence so that they can explore, explore the other nature centers in the valley, the state parks and national parks beyond that, and live a lifetime full of curiosity and wonder without feeling like the outdoors is off limits. And the Texas Butterfly Festival is just one of the things that gives us a huge opportunity to do that. We have a community day on Saturday, and it's free and open to the public. And usually over that Saturday and Sunday, because a lot of people come out on Sunday going, oh, I thought today was community day. We'll get 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 community members coming through the Butterfly Center in those 2 days. And I wouldn't want that to happen every day, because the impact to the grounds and the gardens is tremendous. And of course, we're exhausted. But we get so many first timers. And the Butterfly Center has been there now 20 years. And the Visitors Center opened in 2010, so over a decade. And every week we still get people coming who say, I didn't even know this place was here. So I guess that's job security, but I've got to keep promoting it. And that's one of the things that we really hope our chapters will do too, is let the whole world know about your project. This is a pilot project of NABA, and the only bricks and mortar facility, the only physical plant that NABA has in the United States. And it really is world class. And that's thanks to y'all and your support, all of our members and donors, individuals and foundations who have made a huge investment in this place. The Butterfly Festival. I recognize a lot of names on here. I know some of you have attended. If you haven't, add it to your bucket list, or better yet, plan to come next year if you can't come this year. It's going to be a little different this year. We're very COVID conscious, so we're not going to have the vans. Typically our field trips, we load people in the vans. They've chosen their excursions in an a la carte fashion. And this year we're going to do cohorts. People will be in their own rental cars or carpooling and in their pods. You know, maybe you've traveled with, you know, family or a few friends that you feel safe with. And then the cohorts are such that you're basically doing A, B, or C. And you will stay with that group of people all 3 days. That's so that we can, in some way, minimize everybody's exposure to everybody. Although at social times, you know, you're free to mingle. We just hope everyone will do that, you know, thoughtfully, with everyone's safety in mind. And so far, everybody who is registered has provided proof of vaccination and gotten the automatic rebate for that. We're able to incentivize vaccination. And so that's what we've done. And we feel good about that. One of the best things about the Butterfly Festival is the camaraderie. It's like a family reunion. And even if you've never met some of these people, you guys are obviously going to get to know each other through NABA Chat, through this series. And you come, you maybe pay for the festival once or twice, or some people pay for it every year because it supports our operations. But then some people come for a month. The festival is just the kickoff, and they stay that whole time. We do have other people who came for the festival once or twice, used us to orient them to the Rio Grande Valley. And now instead of coming during the festival, they come for that week at Thanksgiving. And Barbara and Steve and others who are on here are really, you know, they'll tell you there's a group of them, and they potluck Thanksgiving, and they organize their own field trips that week. They have their own communications methods and everything. So nobody feels left out, and that chasing of butterflies really lasts the entire month of November. If you can't attend the festival, you can still participate in the festivities. The North American Butterfly Photo Contest ends in about 2 more days, since today is on its way to over. You've got tomorrow and Thursday till midnight to enter. It's $15 to enter 5 photos. And of course, you can pay that $15 and enter over and over again. We have people who have difficulty choosing just 5 pictures. All of that money gets distributed in prizes. And the winning photo is $500. The runner-up is $250. And then we do a various number of honorable mentions depending on how much cash we have to give away. The winner, the winning photo hangs in the National Butterfly Center. It's on permanent display there. So one wall of the center is now sort of a gallery of winners over the last almost 10 years since I've been there. So go through your pictures. Hopefully all of you spent the last year out in the field, enjoying the outdoors instead of going to work and the gym and all those other places. As I said, there's always next year. If you can't attend, Jeff will let us know, I guess, if we're going to have a NABA biennial meeting next year in 2022, but maybe plan on doing both. That way you don't have to choose. On the horizon at the National Butterfly Center, I wanted to run down some of our opportunities and our threats with you. We're doing some really great things. As Jeff mentioned, we serve over 6,000 school children each year on formal field trips where their schools bring them. In addition to that, we have Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts. Right now, we are the only nature center in South Texas doing a 4-credit hands-on internship for students at the University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley. They're getting an immersive internship in what a nature center is, all of the organizational and operational aspects of it. And it's 15 weeks. We hope to be able to continue it next semester, but we need funding for that. So a grant's been written. We hope we get it. Otherwise, we may just wait till next fall again. But it started as Jeff's call to me saying, please, we've got to do something to develop docents, to create our own well-qualified volunteer force.
Have one, so it's,
And so that's what we're doing with these interns, hopefully.
Yeah.
They're sort of a mixed bag, and it's really funny because we did a basic questionnaire to them all in the beginning, and I got everything from, I love the outdoors, I, raise butterflies, or my family goes camping twice a year, we have our own butterfly garden, to I don't like to sweat, so I'm not sure I'm going to stick this out. So we'll see how it goes. We really look forward to resuming our youth programs and expanding them, but we don't feel safe doing that until we have a vaccine well rolled out for 12 and under. Given our entire staff is vaccinated, but given the breakthrough infections and other things, we really have to take care of one another in order to take care of the center. And so that means not exposing ourselves to 100 or 125 different children day after day after day and risking our health. So that directly impacts the financial stability of the National Butterfly Center. School field trips account for 20 to 25% of our annual income. That's our operating budget. So until we can resume those programs, we're all feeling a little unsteady, a little insecure. And we have a fantastic staff, a staff that I honestly would love to double. Here are some of the folks you may have met if you've come to the Butterfly Center. Luciano has now been at the center 7 years. Stephanie just entered her 6th year, and Nestor, who's standing in the pond, is in his 5th year. So our stability, our financial security enables us to pay people a living wage and to retain our good employees. We invest an awful lot in them. It is hard work, and good people are hard to find. If you've ever been a hiring manager or had your own business or something like that, you know how difficult it is. If you keep up with us through our e-newsletter, which went out today, or through American Butterflies magazine, you've probably heard about our recent acquisition. We acquired 350 acres, 6 miles west of the National Butterfly Center. It's in permanent conservation easement. It was the Nature Conservancy's Chihuahua Woods property. It's the last known nesting site in the United States for the hook-billed kites. And the Nature Conservancy just chose not really to make Chihuahua Woods a priority. The property has been subject to subsistence farming, mining, livestock grazing, and it had become a dump site for heavy trash in the community. But we're working to reverse all of that. The county is helping us clean up the heavy trash. Stephanie and Denise are growing. We just asked them to increase it. So it was over 12,000 seedlings. We're asking them to take that to 20,000 seedlings for revegetation and habitat enhancement work at Chihuahua Woods, which is now called Pixie Preserve. So from now on, I'll be talking about Pixie Preserve. I have to condition myself to use that name. That's what it will be as NABA's property. For Pixie Preserve, we need resources to garner staff and volunteers. And any of you who want to come volunteer/vacation, we would love to have you. You can get your hands dirty while looking out for birds and butterflies and all the other wildlife that can be found on the property. Pixie Preserve will enable us to effectively double the number of school children we can serve each year if we can get facilities built. And by facilities, I mean restrooms. You cannot bring school children and families and a wealth of visitors out to enjoy 350 acres without providing a place for them to go to the bathroom. And we have a local contractor who is a member of the Butterfly Center, and he has donated his services to help us develop this facilities plan. It is going to be made of recycled shipping containers. And we hope when it's all done, it will be LEED certified. So this is going to be a low impact, environmentally friendly facility that meets all of our needs for serving the community out in West Hidalgo County. And there's nothing out there anymore. The only other thing that was there was called Rancho El Charco, and they offered school field trips, they had fishing. It's around a man-made reservoir, and they closed in 2017. They used to buy plants from us. They were establishing butterfly gardens and all of that. But now the whole area is being sold off as residential home lots. So there really is nothing for West Hidalgo County. And if you don't know much about Hidalgo County, we were severely undercounted in our last census, but the county, which is about 1,500 square miles, has a population of about 1 million people. If Hidalgo County was a state, we would be the 46th largest state in the United States. And we have the largest, fastest growing population under the age of 18 in the nation. So our ability to serve children, to provide them with high quality environmental education and traditional field experiences is critical to the future of our planet, to teaching these children how ecosystems work and what they can do in the age of climate change. So now to some of the things Jeff was talking about 2017 and beyond. If you're well informed, you know that President Biden did cancel some border wall construction. He canceled construction where contracts had been awarded, but construction had not really begun in earnest. So that meant 2021 funding and contracts and some 2020 funding and contracts. He also canceled President Trump's state of emergency declaration and recalled or canceled all of the reprogramming of the funds from the US Treasury and the Department of Defense. So he canceled contracts that were going to be funded by those state of emergency dollars. However, he is still building border wall through Hidalgo County. I took this picture last week myself. at Benson Rio Grande Valley State Park down the road from us. So what you can't see is the 18-foot tall concrete vertical wall that is holding up the steel bollards. The Trump border wall is the 18-foot tall steel bollards with the anti-climb plate on top. The Biden border wall is 6 foot tall, and they're calling it vehicle guardrail. And so the contractors, when Trump lost the election, the first time he lost the election, not last week or this week in Arizona again, but back in November when he lost the election, the contractors started skipping ahead in their construction, in their destruction of our levees, and in building border wall, leaving gaps like this. So it's insanity, but this is what we're going to have now, is places where there's wall, places where there's no wall, places where there's 18-foot steel bollards, and places where there's 6-foot steel bollards. We also still face the threat of a virtual border wall. And virtual border wall still requires land confiscation, because they put in the rest of the border wall system, as they call it. And that includes their border fence security road, which now is named as such on Google Maps around the National Butterfly Center. And they put in the fiber optic cable for sensors, the sensors that we already have planted at the National Butterfly Center. They need that fiber optics for the video cameras, for communications, and of course the electricity for the all-night bright lighting. And the road is part of the 150-foot minimum dead zone that is devoid of vegetation and maintained that way through the use and routine application of herbicide. So we're fighting it all still. It's not over. We have a change of administration, but not necessarily the relief I think that we had at least hoped for. I didn't sign up to battle border wall or to, become the sort of advocate that the assault on the National Butterfly Center has required. I signed up to serve children and community members and the National Butterfly Center's members and visitors and NABA. And we'd really like to get back to business as usual, because butterflies make everything better. And teaching people how fundamental butterflies and native bees are to the survival of our planet, to having green stuff that reduces the radiant heat from barren ground, from concrete, that helps diminish erosion, both land that would wash away in floods and the type of severe storms that we're seeing, and the soil that blows away with the winds. Obviously we have wildfires, we have all kinds of things happening that pose enormous threats. And the only way to fight back against that is to create our own army of advocates for the butterflies. And I know that all of you with your chapters are doing that in your communities through your outreach and education. Who would have thought that the butterflies would become the front line defending private property rights and civil liberties for literally 2/3 of the United States? This photo It's actually from video shot by a Fox News reporter, believe it or not, who did a ride along with me and Max at the National Butterfly Center. We were driving around our property when a Border Patrol agent thought we looked suspicious and decided not only to follow us back to the visitor center, but to call in a full tactical response. So the Department of Public Safety, the Texas troopers and the black and white units, 4 other DPS units, marked and unmarked, and the helicopter all came down and around us because this agent decided we couldn't be there. We could not be on land that we own and operate. Border Patrol can be there. They have the right to warrantless entry to all private property within 25 miles of any US border. The Immigration and Nationality Act of 1952 has given them that authority. In our lawsuit against the Department of Homeland Security, we are fighting back against this because Border Patrol calls everything they want to do patrolling. Cutting down trees is patrolling. Dragging tires is patrolling. Installing audio and video surveillance on the property, even denying us our ability to be on the property, they consider within their authority under patrolling. You know, within 25 miles of any US border is New York City, an awful lot of Florida, San Francisco. Yeah, I mean, it's like 2/3 of the population of the United States lives within 100 miles of any US border. And almost 2/3 of it is within that 25-mile zone. So we're not just fighting for our property. We're fighting for everybody's property, for everybody's privacy, and for everyone's civil liberties. That lawsuit was tossed after 14 months with never a day in court. And the law firm that's representing us, Debevoise, they appealed that decision and won the appeal. And we're waiting for the judge to rule on the Biden administration's Justice Department's motion to dismiss our case. So under Trump, the Justice Department filed motions to dismiss our first suit. The judge did dismiss. We won our appeal, and now under Merrick Garland, the Justice Department has again filed a motion to dismiss our suit. Then, of course, there's Steve Bannon's We Build the Wall fraud. That's our second lawsuit. And we're back in court, actually, I think next week or the week after, on October 6th. We Build the Wall claims they don't have any money to pay for their legal defense, even though you know, they brought in over $25 million. The SDNY lawsuit against them has substantiated their fraud, the fact that they pocketed much of this money. But when they built the little bitty wall section, less than a half mile, I believe, in Sunland Park, New Mexico, in the suburb of El Paso, I told Jeff and everybody that would listen to me that they were going to come to Mission, Texas next. We knew they were acting as proxies for President Trump, that this entire campaign was classic Steve Bannon, Cambridge Analytica. It was a military-grade misinformation campaign designed to influence public policy and the election, also to raise funds dark money for campaigns, whether for specific candidates or for propaganda. They succeeded wildly, but they built a wall downstream from us on a sandbar that is a peninsula pointed at Mexico. So downstream from us, the river bends like an L, and their fence on the riverbank in a flooding event like Tropical Storm Alex, where the floodwaters reach the top of the levee over 16 feet above the Rio Grande River's channel. We know that this fence is going to be, it's going to act as a trash rack. And all of the debris in the river, the organic and inorganic debris, so tree limbs, tractor tires, everything in the river, deflated inner tubes and paddles, hay bales, even dead livestock, as we saw in 2010, will get stuck on that fence, clog it, block the flow of water through it, and create a diversion of water flow and a redistribution of sediment that are going to directly impact the National Butterfly Center's land and result, according to the experts we've already had to hire and pay, in actual land loss for us as a result of this obstruction of this structure. We're moving forward in our suit against them. Friday at 5 o'clock, we submitted discovery to their legal teams. They have refused to submit discovery to us. So next we'll be filing a motion to compel Tommy Fisher, Lance Newhouse, and We Build the Wall to submit discovery to us. Currently, We Build the Wall claims they have no legal representation, although Judge Crane is allowing Chris Kobach, their legal counsel, to represent them in court. He, on the docket, refers to Chris Kobach as their attorney not of record, a term every attorney I know says they have never heard before. So that's where we stand with this lawsuit. It is important that we win both of these battles that we're fighting against border walls and against the erosion of private property rights, of the lower Rio Grande Valley Wildlife Conservation Corridor, and against rising fascism in this country. It's important for the Butterfly Center. It's important for democracy. And just like there's no other country like the United States of America, for good and for bad, there's no other place like the National Butterfly Center. There's only one. And it's amazing. If you haven't visited, I hope you will. I hope you'll fall in love with it as I have, as all of our staff have, as our members and donors have. I hope you'll encourage your chapter members to come or organize a chapter visit. We've never had a wholesale chapter visit. It would be awesome. We would clear our calendars and roll out the red carpet for you like we do during the festival. Because this special place is yours. It is your project. You have made it possible. And in addition to all that you do in your community, your outreach, your education and advocacy for the butterflies, for the Butterfly Center, for the North American Butterfly Association, they all advance our mission. And it is my great honor and pleasure to serve you. You can all reach out to me anytime. My cell phone's available here and on all my emails. There's my email. And I guess we'll take questions now.
Thank you so much, Marianna. What a great presentation and interesting to learn more about what's going on in the Valley. I have muted everybody, you know, as you were talking, but you can unmute yourself and ask questions. We didn't get any in the chat, so we'll just, we have a few minutes now if you'd like to ask Marianna questions or Jeff questions while we're all together. Nobody has questions? Maybe Brian, you have a question?
No, I'm just preparing myself in case I do.
Okay, all right, you're ready.
I haven't been to the National Butterfly Center, except I was there with Jeff before there were any buildings there.
Oh, wow, you need to go back. Yeah, what a
Yeah,
trip
no
that would
kidding.
be.
I
Yeah.
really want to get down there and see it, but you know, I just haven't been able to. So I hope I.
What a great trip that will be to see it now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Karen, you look like you have a question.
We've planted so much and continue to, that we actually have people who come visit and complain. They're like, I liked it better when it was just the old gardens and I didn't have to worry about running here, there, or elsewhere or missing something, you know, when there were just, yeah, progress. Now you've got to cover 100 acres if there's a great butterfly or bird sighting instead of just the old gardens.
Yeah, Barbara, you have a question. You guys have a question?
I was going to ask how the registration for the festival is going. And Steve, did you have a question?
Well, yes.
Yes, that's the question.
So, you know, normally registration, we cap registration at 160 because it's as much as we can manage. And, you know, when you take people out butterflying, you can't have 50 or 60 people, you know, like a coach bus full of people standing around one bush trying to see and photograph a butterfly, or have those same 60 people trampling private property. And during the festival, we do have the privilege of visiting people's personal property, their private butterfly gardens. Maximum registration in my 10 years here has been 140, 142, I think. This year, we're at about 50 people. We were bumping 60, and then we had, I think we're up to
Politics.
six cancellations of people saying they refuse to spend money in Texas this year,
Yeah.
or next year, who knows. And I understand that. I know that sometimes that is how we make our voices heard, but right now, Texas still has 1,000 people a day moving here. So I don't know how much impact, you know, our tribe can make withholding their dollars for tourism when industry is exploding here and, you know, job opportunities and growth and housing and everything else are just, I mean, Texas is booming. So that's where we are. We're at around 50 people-ish.
Manetta says that the things are booming in Florida too, and she thanks you for the great presentation.
Thank you.
How many chapters do we have represented?
Miami Blue.
Good.
Central Kentucky.
Anybody else?
Or Eugene, Oregon.
Hi, Lori.
Massachusetts, of course.
Southeast Texas.
Great.
Whoop, whoop.
North Florida. I see Eric down there in the chat room.
Barbara, did you have another question? I saw your hand go up.
Yes, Steve's asking what the shape of the center is in terms of landscaping. I know you had a big freeze and now it's been pretty dry. So are things reviving or still having some issues with how things are going in general? Can you give us an update?
Yeah, so, you know, traditionally, and according to the Farmer's Almanac and everything, our rains start like Labor Day weekend or the week following. And this year, the rains were delayed a week. We didn't get the kind of rainfall we had hoped for, and we haven't had a tropical storm or a hurricane. Everything is staying off the Atlantic coast. It's weird. Of course, hurricane season isn't over. We've still got a whole nother
couple of months.
6 weeks-ish, you know, and I hear they're talking about moving the end of hurricane season to November 15th. So we have gotten some rain. We are watering. We are watering, and the plants actually look really good. So after Uri in February, the plants, I mean, it was devastating. But, and I'm not a botanist, but the best I can describe it is like the plants' will to live, like they're the plants' own, you know, biology was like, holy crap, we almost died. We've got to grow. And so the plants came back, they flowered, they fruited. It was insane. And keeping that, you know, going has been good. The crucita is in bud right now. The crucita is going to start blooming before the festival. And that often happens. We've just got to hope that as it has traditionally done, it keeps blooming. For those of you who don't know, crucita is our fall mist flower, and it's like crack for butterflies. I think the most we photographed up to or just over 60 different species of butterfly on one bush. This, I mean, it is a butterfly magnet. But we've really been enhancing the plantings and the diversity. And some things did really, really well this year. And, you know, like we wound up with bee balm everywhere in places it was never planted, never seeded, bee balm coming out of our ears. It was incredible. But then the Mexican sunflower didn't come back. So it's been very strange, but I'm afraid that's going to be the future. You know, that all of the typical patterns and predictable phases of flowering and butterflies and all that are going to be, you know, disrupted. One of my Facebook memories came up the other day for this time, and I can't remember if it was for last year or the year before, but we had about 83, I think, species of butterfly that by that time in September, either a year or 2 years ago. Right now, we're at 66 species. So we've got to get rain. The rain triggers the butterflies. And it would be really great if we got some of this tropical weather to blow some of those really great stray US record butterflies up too. So I don't have to go to Panama or Costa Rica and bring some, which I have never done. It's funny that Jeff mentions that, but we did have somebody who once accused me of that.
It's funny how rumors get started, isn't it?
Oh no, that was people actually before Marianna, actually people in the beginning, the butterfly collectors seriously, this wasn't like a joke. They seriously were saying that we were going into Mexico and capturing these things and bringing them to the Butterfly Center to get publicity.
Bringing them up in the Buick or something.
Yeah,
okay.
they were serious, these people.
And little do they know that nobody cares. Other than our small tribe, nobody cares about a rare butterfly. You know, it's just, I wish that it would make our revenue for that day or that week go through the roof, but it just doesn't happen. It doesn't work like that.
Well, Marianna, you put your contact information there for those of you that have newsletters. If you have Twitter and Facebook and so forth, social media, share about the Butterfly Festival. Tell us again the dates, Marianna.
October 30th through November 2nd. So our banquet will actually be on November 1st on Dia de los Muertos. And I am going full monarca. I already have my headdress and my monarch gown. I'll have my face painted because the banquet is just fun. And our
That's
keynote
great.
speaker this year is, I see.
Oh,
somebody-
there's Brian's.
Brian's
That's
got his
wonderful.
wings. So as many of you know, Dia de los Muertos is not Halloween. It is a day of remembrance. It's solemn, but it's also a celebration of our ancestors. And the butterflies, the monarchs, are believed to be the visiting souls of our family members who have passed on to the next world.
And for those of you who don't know, Marianna grew up in the Texas, in the Valley, in the Rio Grande Valley. I actually grew up not too far north from there. So,
yeah. And so Tom Stock from Maryland is our keynote speaker this year.
awesome.
He did the MD 100 several years ago. Many of you know about the butterfly counts that NABA does and participate in them. Well, they wanted to do sort of their own count over the year and their own quest. So they compiled a list of the 100 butterfly species that could conceivably be found in Maryland, and then went out looking for them. And he has a great story to tell, and also I think some valuable information for people who might want to do something similar, whether on a chapter level or individual or, you know, buddy system or whatever. And it's the kind of thing that I know some folks undertook during the pandemic. Sarab Seth in the San Francisco Bay Area started his own neighborhood watch, but for butterflies, not for crime, and is amassing that list because it was safe to go out and butterfly, not to do much else. So anyway, I hope that it'll be something that inspires folks and gives them some touchstones for doing something similar, not just when we have, you know, a pandemic or COVID shutdown, but for the good of butterflies and for the good of all.
Well, I know all of you will join me in thanking Marianna. Consider this applause over the over the internet. Marianna, thank you for being here.
Thank
Any
all
more
of you for
questions?
tuning in.
Yeah. Thank you all for being here. I think, Manette, it looks like you have your hand up. You have to unmute.
Clapping.
She's clapping. Thank you, Manette.
Awesome.
It was
Great.
an awesome presentation.
Thank you all. We'll
you.
keep you posted on when we'll do this again. And I hope to see all of you down in Texas next month. And in the meantime, I'll see you all on the chat. Thank you for joining us.